Hello there, and welcome to Find Your Voice, the show where we interview thought leaders, experts, and founders of businesses on their insights and expertise. And today we have a wonderful guest, Jeffrey Nuziard. He is the founder of Sexual Wellness Centers of America and the innovator of RegineMax, the only patented protocol proven to cure and prevent erectile dysfunction, vaginal dysfunction in people. So interesting topic and something we've not covered before on Find Your Voice. So I'm very curious to kind of learn from Jeffrey. And thank you very much for attending the call, my friend. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you.
Good
Thank you
stuff.
for having me.
No problem at all. So tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of where and how this has come about for you, and what your story is about this sort of thing.
Always love it when people ask me, "So what do you do?" It's because it's a very interesting topic, yeah, at least. Not people like to talk about it. But when I was 40 years old, I like to think it just happened overnight, but learning now it didn't just happen overnight. When I was 40 years old, I all of a sudden found myself thinking sexually and feeling fine wanting sex, but my body said I'm out and my body would not work. Being young at 40, and I'm like, this is unacceptable. I can't do this. So long story short, I pretty much sold everything, invested all my money into research and development, and dove into how can this be fixed without any pills or surgery. I don't like surgery. I've never had a surgery, and I don't like drugs. I don't like anything like that. So, it was just down to it's survival mode for me, really, honestly.
Yeah.
How do I fix it? And I started uncovering so many things that Western medicine has been doing for years that is not accurate. Erectile dysfunction is not a blood flow problem. Blood flow did not cause erectile dysfunction. It's a result of erectile dysfunction, but it didn't cause it. After really digging in and doing this research, I was able to develop a hard ironclad protocol that actually cures erectile dysfunction and takes you back to your prime. It redevelops and regenerates all the interior tissue and takes you back to your prime.
Wow. Fantastic. It sounds, yeah, I mean, it is an issue. I mean, with a lot of people, and it's an embarrassing topic for men to talk about, especially. And obviously, we're hearing more and more that a lot of younger men are struggling with this issue as well, which is something that's not been such a thing in the past, it seems. Maybe it's to do with testosterone levels, I'm not sure. But what are your thoughts on that, of why we're seeing such a rise in, excuse the pun, in this issue, or if, not so is the case?
Yeah, that's a great question because I've been at this for 20 years now, and I turned 60 last week, and I'm proud to say I have no issues today. None.
You look good for your age, sir. I'll give you that. Very good for your age.
Well,
Fair play.
thank you so much. Truthfully, honestly, all my kids and grandkids were in for my birthday, and they asked how I felt and what's it like to be 60. I said, I don't know what it's like to be 60 because I feel better today than I did when I was 40. And that's a fact. I have more energy in my life. I do more things. I'm very go, 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 building a worldwide company basically. And I feel amazing doing it. So I feel great. And I want to keep going as long as I can. But that's a great question because I think there's a couple things going on with why we're finding them younger. Over the last 5 years, on the retail, I call it retail side, but it's the clinic side. I have a medical clinic that cures erectile dysfunction. But on the retail side of this, I started noticing my target market dropping in the age-wise. It used to be 50 to 70. Now I'm getting in. I just took on a new patient last week, 35 years old, and has had major issues for 4 years now. So started at 31 for him. We had a 24-year-old Division I college athlete, played for one of the huge universities here in America, in Texas, actually. Came in, his hormone levels were shot. Testosterone level was 400. He should be around, 900 to 1200 in that ballpark area, being an athlete. And I'm seeing it more and more. There's a few things why. Number one, I think it's our culture. My generation and the generation before me, which was my target market, were very active. We didn't have computer screens to stare at all day long and sit around and stare at the phone all the time. For me, I was up Saturday morning, have a bowl of cereal. I was out the door at 7:30, 8 o'clock on my bike, and rode all day until the street lights came on at night and went home. And so I was very active, very, very active. And I'm seeing it more and more. Our culture and through technology, people are just doing a lot of sitting, doing a lot of sedentary lifestyles. And that's one problem. The other problem, I think, is a lot of stuff, at least here in America, there's a lot of hormones put into foods, into beef, into chickens for greed purposes, to raise them quicker, to go from birth to slaughter in a short amount of time. And I think that has a huge effect on our bodies. Fast food in America has gone rampant and is absolutely horrible for your body. I have given up all that stuff over the last several years. People tell me all the time, you look really a whole lot younger for your age. I attribute it to, I don't do fast food and I don't do sugar at all. I think that's putting a lot of carcinogens and poison into your body, and people do it out of convenience. The last thing that I'm in a study group with other doctors and PhDs and what have you, and we started looking into this 3 years ago, the lack of testosterone in the younger boys, coming in 20s to 30s, and we're getting a lot of them. And we started researching back, and we just started asking questions. One of the questions was, were you breastfed as a child? I wasn't breastfed as a child, but at 27, my testosterone level was 1185. It was amazing. At 40, my testosterone level had dropped in 13 years to 305. So that was a problem. Not sure why. I think for me, it was hereditary, but we started looking back, and in 1990, formula companies that made baby formula started putting hormones in their baby formula in 90 and then stopped in 2005. So you have a 15-year generation there, and every one of those, we're getting 95% of those men and women are testosterone deficient.
Yeah.
So we think that has a big problem to do with it. There's a lot of issues going on. Personally, I know in America, I believe with all my heart that we have an epidemic testosterone deficiency going on. That's a major issue. I really believe this is, 10 years ago, you never heard anything about gender identity crisis or anything like that. Today, it's all over the place. And I think it's lack of, honestly, hormones. When a man has estrogen way up here and testosterone way down here, I mean, you're estrogen dominant. You start feeling one way. Maybe you identify in one way. Maybe I'm not trying to make it a political thing. I think there's a medical thing going on that is, we got a huge culture there.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting subject, a bit of a sensitive one, and it needs some research. Unfortunately, it's quite difficult to approach that subject without getting into a controversial conversation and being labeled.
And that's not my intent at all. I don't want to offend anybody.
No, you don't. I mean,
I think it's a scientific research project that we have to do.
For sure. Yeah.
Because it's gone rampant. It really is bad.
It's
worse than I've ever seen.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. And also I think lower testosterone affects depression as well. It's been proven to. It affects,
absolutely.
Obviously it creates people to have up and down mood swings and tantrums and just not be able to control their emotions in the same way. And on the flip side of that, obviously too much testosterone can increase aggression and create the negative aspects. I mean, I used to do bodybuilding competitions, so I'm very familiar with hormones and, artificial, I'm going to be honest as well, in the past, and other ways of boosting natural testosterone. I've kind of, played around with a lot of things and I know the side effects. I'm lucky I've escaped many of the side effects that, like the baldness and things like that many people get. But yeah, it's an interesting topic that needs to be talked about with hormones in general, because I think there's a lot of artificial hormones in a lot of things. So tell us a bit more about the protocols your solution is. So is it a mixture of a diet regime? Is it a mixture of exercise as well as natural supplements? How does it kind of work with RegineMax?
Well, all of those things are important in our lives, especially to get away from processed foods and things like that. The protocol is a series of treatments. So the science behind this, when I uncovered the cause of this, and understand, I was using cadavers, I was using pigs, I was doing everything I can to try to figure this out, reading white paper after white paper after white paper on the breakdown of the tissue in the penis and things like that nature. So the science behind it is that when your testosterone drops to a certain level, which is unique to everybody, that activates the aging process in one's life. So people are aging earlier. I got 35-year-olds coming in, losing their hair, turning gray, very collagen deficient, starting to get a lot of facial lines and wrinkles going on at 35 years old. And the reason is because your testosterone drops by 2% a year, somewhere in your 20s. We start losing testosterone production, and that activates the aging process. Well, the first thing that your body shuts down in the aging process is our production of collagen. So if your collagen shuts down, production shuts down, then the collagen you have starts to degenerate. Well, the spongy tissue in the penis is nothing but collagen. So it's held together by collagen. And so it becomes a dried up sponge that doesn't absorb anymore. It doesn't absorb the blood flowing in. And then your veins respond and get atrophy and start shrinking up because you're not absorbing all the blood. So the veins then have to be able to send less blood in. The only way to send less volume in is to get atrophy and shrink up. So the protocol was developed around using different devices that we have. That there's only 2 devices in the world that will do this procedure. Literally, out of all the medical devices out, there's only 2. And we use both of them and create angiogenesis, which is your body making new blood vessels. We also create, at the cellular level, the regeneration of tissue in the sponge. And then we create a neocollagenesis in the sponge tissue to remodel and thicken the collagen up and make it healthy again. At the same time, what started this process is your hormone optimization. So we have to get your hormones back to their optimal level. We have we have a couple of ways we do that. We don't do injectable testosterone, don't like it, don't like the side effects of it. It's very convenient for people, but there's a lot of medical problems associated with it. So from the retail side, I don't want the liability, and we won't do it that way. We like a more homeopathic, natural way of doing it. And there's ways to get your testosterone level back to your optimized level of your prime. Where were you at in your prime? Our science has proven to us that men were between 900 and 1200 in their prime, and women were between 125 and 225 in their prime. So we want to get everybody back to their prime level, optimal levels. And then on top of that, the next thing that fails after our production of collagen is our stem cell production. So we developed a fluid, a biologic that we inject into the penis that is like a stem cell replacement, so that it makes all this regeneration happen in weeks, not months or years. I'm 60 years old. My stem cells are 60 years old, and I have about 35% less stem cells in my body than I did 20 years ago. So my regeneration time is slower. So I could do all the injuries I want to the tissue in the penis, but if I don't have a vehicle to speed that regeneration up, it'll take 10 months to a year for me to regenerate that tissue.
Right.
So through these pillars of angiogenesis, cellular regeneration, collagen regeneration and remodeling, hormone, not just testosterone, but hormone optimization, and then the stem cell replacement, we're able to literally take people back to their prime sexually. Their sexual organs completely reverse.
Wow.
And is absolutely amazing.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it sounds incredible, sir. The more I think about this as well, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a dark subject, but, male suicide is increased massively. And do you think that there is a link with men struggling and feeling too embarrassed to get help that are,
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Every day.
Mm.
Every day. I hear this every day. We have men that call the clinic, and just yesterday, we had a individual call the clinic talking to our patient coordinator. Great conversation. You could tell he was very reserved, but we get to the end of booking the appointment, and we're literally in the middle of taking down his date of birth, and he just hung up the phone. We texted him back, are you okay? What's going on? We booking your appointment. I don't want to talk about it. That was the response. I don't want to talk about it. And I feel horrible because for me, and that's all I can speak for, and I do have literally over 3,000 patients have gone through the program, and we're maintaining a 97.2% success rate. 97.2% success rate. And it truly is the only patented cure for erectile dysfunction. Everything else on the market that's got a patent on it is a Band-Aid. It's a temporary fix. So
Yeah.
what we find, these guys come in and they're very embarrassed until they finally realize, hey, this is what we deal with every day. And it's okay. You're going to be okay. So many men in America, they say 50 million, the numbers are 50 million men have some form of erectile dysfunction. 50 million. I think that's understated because I don't believe people are honest when asked.
For sure. No, definitely not. Yeah. I mean, also as well, I'm curious to kind of know your thoughts on things like Viagra and, Cialis, I think is the other one. So obviously they've now been touted as being, the solution to this issue, but it's a Band-Aid. But, from what you're telling me, what would you say is, the reason why you don't advise, or, what are your thoughts on?
I mean, it's not that we don't advise. It's just that we don't want to be dependent on that, because 95% of the men that come in, when they're sitting across the table from me, they will say, I've been using Cialis for the last 5 years, and now over the last 6 months, it don't work anymore. I've been using Viagra for 2 years, and now it don't work. It's not that those pills stop working. They work. They dilate the vascularity. They pull blood in. But the problem is what I said, your sponge is bad. So you're not absorbing the blood. The pills are still working, but it's blood in, blood out.
Yeah.
So it's not able to absorb. And the way our body works, that sponge has to absorb so much blood and activates two muscles behind the scrotum that lock in the blood until orgasm. And then those muscles release and the blood goes back out. So if we don't activate those muscles, then they begin to develop atrophy because they're not being used. So it's a problem and this is why I was so driven, because in America, I call it the microwave society. Everybody's looking for the quick fix right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many men call the clinic. What do you have that I can use just this weekend? That's not what we do.
No.
Right? They want the quick fix, but they don't want to fix the problem. And so what happens when you're taking, they're called PDE5 drugs, Cialis and Viagra. When you're taking PDE5s, you're getting a temporary fix that you think, hey, I'll just do this and it'll be fine. Until one day, you don't. And so then now it's 5 years down the road and the degeneration has gotten really bad.
Yes, no, for sure. And also they've got side effects, these drugs, at the end of the day, it's yeah, no, definitely. And interestingly, I've read on your your website, you work with couples as well. So it's not just men, it's women that have got issues and couples. So tell me a bit about that and how that's gone for you and the way that you approach it.
Yeah, and that's great. We don't spend any money advertising for women, but we treat a lot of women. And the reason is why men come in and they get going again and their wives are like, hey, I can't keep up and I'm hurting. What we have found is women suffer in silence. They don't talk about it at all. I can't tell you how many women hope their men get ED because it just hurts them. It's painful for them. And what we have found is women go through this exact same thing as men. The only difference between a clitoris and a penis is one has a urethra and one doesn't. But the internal tissue is exactly the same. And so women go through the exact same thing. When their testosterone hits, their collagen depletes, and they get what's called clitoral atrophy. All of a sudden, there's no sensation anymore. The clitoris is just not working. And then the vaginal canal starts drying up because they go through what's called vaginal relaxation syndrome and also atrophic vaginitis, which are all stages of vaginal dysfunction that can be completely reversed through RegineMax.
Wow.
Completely reversed.
Okay.
And what we have found is women respond actually faster than men, a lot faster. So we treat a lot of women. And honestly, the reason why we don't advertise is not that we don't want to help women. We want to. The problem is there's no term out there that we can put into advertisement to make a woman go, I need to do that. Like I advertise, we fix erectile dysfunction. Everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
What do I say for women? We fix atrophic vaginitis. Nobody knows what that is.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Also, unfortunately, with Google and Facebook's regulations, it's hard to advertise in general for this sort of thing, I would have thought, because,
Very difficult.
Yeah, no, for sure. And this is great. This is why podcasts and having these conversations is really the best way of educating people on this matter, because,
Absolutely.
this can be optimized for people that are searching for solutions to this as well from our conversation. So they'll find this podcast when it's published, and the more that will come from you working with us as well, the more that you talk about this, it will be more discoverable, and you're able to help a lot more men and women with this issue. So
absolutely.
So when it comes to the reaching out to you, and if somebody was listening to this, they were like, right, I need some help. What's the next step? Or what do they need to do?
Well, there's a couple ways you can get hold of me. Number one, we have clinics around the country that have bought licenses to do this protocol, being it is patented. We are patent protected. And so we have two sides to the business, what I call the retail side, which is for patients, the B2C side, business to consumer. And you can go to our website, regenmax.com, regenmax.com. And there's a patient button and a provider button. Obviously, if you're a patient, click patient. If you're a provider or want to be a provider, click provider. Because we treat patients in our clinic here in Colleyville, Texas. We have clinics all over the country now that are starting to do this, but we also are looking for more providers. With 50 million men suffering from erectile dysfunction, we can't treat them all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems. We don't have every state covered yet. And so we want to put a license out there for providers. So regenmax.com is the best way to get information from. You can also, if you want to know more and hear from actual patients, our YouTube channel has a lot of videos on it that are the short videos that talk about it. And then there's some long, hour-long videos, patient interviews, things like that. And that's RegineMax 4ED, RegineMax. And that's our YouTube channel. And that will help educate you and give you some information. And then after you go through that, you can go to regenmax.com and request information, how to become a provider or how to become a patient.
Great. And also, yeah, for physicians that are looking to expand on their, their kind of business and what they're doing as well. Like you said, it's a great opportunity to help, so many millions of men and women as well that, and it gives them an option to be able to kind of, help themselves business wise. So they need to go through to the website if they're interested in becoming licensed in this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's good to know. So do you just cover the US, Jeff, or are you looking to go, kind of more international with this?
Right now, we are only in the US. We are looking, I'm working with my attorney right now it is a global patent. The patent is global. So we are protected in that. We're looking how to roll out, going to other countries here shortly. We're hoping that the second quarter of, for sure by the second quarter, but the first quarter 26, we're hoping to be able to roll this out and make it available to other countries.
So another quick question, how long would it take somebody who's got these issues to start seeing the results with this program?
Great question. That's different for everybody. I have patients that were very extreme that we're seeing in 4 weeks.
Wow.
They were back.
Really?
I have patients that in 4 weeks, they started noticing improvement, but they weren't quite penetrable or back yet. So I would say anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks is the average. Obviously, every body is different. Every human body responds different to treatment. So I can't say will work for everybody to be the exact number. I can say that 97.2% of our patients that have gone through this have had success.
Yeah.
That's a very high number, and we're very proud of it.
That's fantastic. I'd be curious to know how many marriages you saved as well.
I hear a lot of those stories, and it makes my heart very happy.
I
very
bet.
happy. I have a couple patient, a man and wife. Let me tell you two quick stories.
Yeah.
They're great. The first one, when they came in, she was 82, he was 84, and had been married 60 years. They hadn't had sex in 20 years because they just couldn't. And they said, and they kind of were like, we really miss this part of our marriage. We're very healthy. And they were so healthy. They exercised every day. They were the quintessential like health specimens. They were great. And they were the sweetest people. And they just couldn't perform. And they said, hey, you think this will help us? And they both signed up. And do you know, in 40 days, they started having sex again. By the time they were 6 months into treatment, they were having sex 4 days a week. They have been patients now for 3 years. They come back in for us to just do their hormones, but they are just the happiest people on the planet. They love us to death. And they act like 16-year-old kids now. They just crazy.
That's very, very good.
We have a younger couple have been married for 20 years, in their late 40s, that hadn't had sex in a year. And we're really getting to a point of, why are we even married? I mean, not having sex starts to create division and dissension. It creates doubt. You start wondering, is it me? Is it her? What's going on? And you don't talk about it. So it starts making division, and it's so sad to me, and it's not that sex is the problem. It's the communication is the problem, honestly. Anyway, they come in now, they've been patients for right at a year, and they come in and they are just so ecstatic. They said, man, we just went on a second honeymoon and we had to come home to rest. And I just laughed and I said, that's great. And they were so happy, and there's like, changed our whole life and our whole marriage. So
It's fantastic.
it makes me feel good. I get to go to the office and I get a smile every day and talk to, it just makes me happy.
Yeah, no, that's great, sir. And also, in all seriousness, it's going to help keep families together with marriages, being more stable because of this issue and stuff like, that's going to help the kids that are involved as well, of course, from people.
Just hormone optimization alone, Joe, helps.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of women go through menopause and don't understand what's going on, and their emotions are rampant and they don't understand what's going on. And men goes, my wife's just crazy. No, she's not. She's hormone deficient.
Yes.
Let's get that balanced.
Exactly.
Let's help her, and that will in turn help you. And by the way, your hormones are deficient too. Let's fix you both. And just by doing hormone optimization changes people's lives.
Yeah. Oh, God, for sure. I can see that. Yeah, definitely. And even for myself, when I've actually optimized my natural testosterone levels, it's a huge difference in mood and just focus and general things. Yeah, really important. For sure. This is great stuff, Jeff. And it's been a wonderful chat. And thank you very much. And just to remind our audience again, so where do they find you? Just to rename that website again, sir?
RegineMax.com.
Awesome. Jeffrey, this has been a pleasure, and thank you very much for being so candid and honest with us about your own issues that you've had and overcome, and the fact that you're able to help a lot of people is inspirational, and thank you very much.
Yo, I appreciate it so much. I'm so thankful to be a guest on here. I appreciate it.
No worries at all. All right, well, take care, everybody, and thanks for listening. And Jeff, again, look after yourself, and we'll hopefully speak again in the future. Cheers.
You got it. Thanks, Joe.